Welcome back. We're back. Two fans, one Paul. Myself, David Quist, lovely co-host KB Kirk Brown. Week 6, I think, already. Preview. I'm sad and depressed. Way too soon for week 6, KB. I'm looking forward to breaking down the games. We're back with our team, so it's always good. For me, I don't know how I feel, though, but we'll get there. Looking forward to another great weekend, KB. It's been a hell of a year so far. So throw it out to you in Phoenix, see how we're doing, and then we'll jump into the first game.
Yeah, I mean, 3 straight weeks for you being away from MSU. Actually 4, right? Because you didn't go to their last home game.
I didn't go to Youngstown, correct?
Yeah, so it's been a month since you've been back. So been a while. So I'm sure this last little road game before you get back home is going to be fun for you. But yeah, really excited. I mean, I think there's always a fun feeling coming out of the bye week. I think your team's always aspirational. You always hear good things out from your team usually. So. Really excited to kind of cover our games here, and then obviously there's 2 big ones. There's a bunch of, I think, sneaky good games this weekend. It's not as massive of a slate as last weekend, but I think there might be some upsets, some kind of down weeks that might be a little down games that might be a little fun here. But excited to cover our games, Quist, and if you want to kick us off, we'll get right into it.
Yeah, in order of kickoff, so big noon kickoff, our favorite thing over here next to Brian Kelly, 2 fans, 1 Paul, KB. Wisconsin comes to Ann Arbor, big noon kick, 9 a.m. kick for you in Arizona. The line right now is 17.5 in favor of your Wolverines. Wisconsin's down. Over-under 43.5. KB, I'm on the Fire Fickle train. I kind of talked about it when they lost to Maryland at home by 17 points, which is a problem. I'm curious to see how they come out for this game because I don't know if they played last week. They might have been on a bye week. I'm not sure, but
they're also on a bye.
They're on a bye too. And getting trounced at home by Maryland, who seems decent this year, and the quarterback. They've had a lot of quarterback issues. I kind of feel a little bad for Fickle, but when you rely on the portal, he's relied on the portal too, and sometimes that can bite you. So a bit of the transfer portal, a bit of the injury bug for his quarterback. I think the last 3 years, the quarterback from the portal's gotten hurt, which is pretty brutal. But Wisconsin's known for a couple of things, KB. Tough defense. Haven't seen that. And, they built a way to win. You get a big-ass O-line, a bunch of white boys, put whatever you want behind you. He's probably going to be really damn good. Let him run. And when Fickle came, he kind of tried to bring in a new system. It's not been working. I don't know if that's a personnel thing or a coach thing. I don't know if this is year 3 or 4, maybe 5. But I just don't know if this team's got it. Curious to see both teams coming out of a bye week. I think 17 points is a lot, KB. I don't know if Michigan can cover, but if they do bully ball like they did against Nebraska and they can push around this to Wisconsin team, which might be possible with what I've seen, especially them getting trounced by Maryland, Michigan could win a game, 35-7. I don't really have a lot of faith in this Wisconsin offense, but you never know with Michigan sometimes. The way things are rolling, though, I would go Michigan money line, Wisconsin to cover, late weird cover. 17.5 is a lot of points, even though Wisconsin's down. But I'm going to probably watch most of the game and I'm going to be locked into Wisconsin's defense and your O-line. And then obviously on the flip side, their O-line versus your defense. I thought you guys pushed Nebraska around. Wisconsin's a team that should, stand tall, but it seems like they've taken a step back. So we'll see how this Michigan team can come out of the bye as long with Wisconsin. This could be a make or break game for Fickle. I don't know if they fire him in the middle of the season or if they fire him at the end of the year, but I think to me the way things go in 2025, you get fired in the middle of the year, just like Pittman did for Arkansas. But love to hear your thoughts. It's your team. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to clarify some misconceptions about Wisconsin. They're the number 1 rushing defense in the country.
Oh, wow.
I do think part of that is they haven't really played anyone good at running the ball. Maryland hasn't been running the ball well. Bama hasn't ran the ball well. They have very good passing offenses and can run, but they aren't as prolific as Michigan has been through the start of the season. So that'll be one of the interesting battles is, does Michigan look to force the rock early to attack that number 1 rush defense? Or do you go after the weakness? And this Wisconsin secondary, which I think is the more, weird thing. I always feel like when you played Wisconsin, not only were they going to stop the run, but they're going to get pressure and really they were going to be able to cover your guys. They're going to disguise stuff. You're going to have a tough time throwing the ball on them at times unless you had real elite perimeter guys. Like I know Ohio State had a bunch of success for them, but it wasn't like guys running open. It was usually guys making tough contested catches and breaking some tackles. So I think that's the real difference. I think Ty Simpson was like 32 of 35 for like 400 yards against them. Malik Washington from Maryland had a really good game. He threw for 270. So I think this is a week that Michigan's offense can kind of find its footing. Throwing the ball, that's kind of what I would look for. I do want them to rush it, but Wisconsin, one of the reasons their rush defense is so good is they're a quick trigger team. They're going to be running guys downhill, and so I'd like a few more shot plays on this team. We tried a couple where we were trying to pull guards around, and the edges were just way too fast. It was an unfair block for the guard to kind of get over to. So I just like a full shot play where you have, multiple guys running deep. I just think it helps loosen up the defense and then opens up your ground game a little more. But it's going to be a real test inside for them. But I think the real aspect of this game is how does Wisconsin's offense fare? Because like you said, when they transitioned back to being more, or when they transitioned to a full spread, they hired Phil Longo, who is a full air raid guy. And they didn't have the personnel, they didn't have the linemen, they didn't have the players. And you're in year 3 of Fickle, I believe. And now they're kind of trying to transition back. They hired the guy from Kansas where you do a bunch of QB run game stuff, where you kind of get the ball outside, where you RPO it a little bit more, but the base is that you have a really aggressive running offense. And it's just hard because what Wisconsin was always known for was their tremendous offensive lines, and they don't have a good one this year. It's probably, a lot of the message boards are saying it's probably the worst line they've seen in 30 years at Wisconsin. Their starting center, who's probably their best player, has been out, so maybe he's back from injury. That helps them, because if not, they're starting a redshirt freshman that struggled to snap the ball. There's multiple bad snaps. So this has really been a poor offense. And then, like you said, at the QB, a bunch of injuries. Billy Edwards transfers from Maryland. He gets injured in game 1. He's out for the next 2 games. Danny O'Neal, I believe his name is. Just checking. Yeah, Danny O'Neal, who transferred from San Diego State, comes in. He's played decent. He's completing around 70% of his passes, 640 yards, but 5 TDs to 5 picks, a bunch of negative plays, a bunch of sacks for him too. He's a true sophomore. He started as a freshman last year. And so does the bye week let them fully adjust to get him fully incorporated where Billy Edwards isn't taking away his snaps during the week, trying to get back healthy? I think that would be the smart shift for Fickle, but he's also in a win-now mode, so does he go with the more experienced, higher-end athlete? And that's kind of what their game looked like at Maryland. Billy Edwards played the first 9 plays. He was a starter, and he basically said, I got to realize that the player is going to want to play, and I can't allow him to put us in a bad spot because he isn't healthy enough to play. So maybe he comes back, but it's really going to be an offensive battle, or they're going to struggle to score points. However, there's always things you pick up on film, and teams have an extra week to prep. They can put together a really good package. I mean, think back to MSU against Iowa last year. That was their best their offense and defense looked all season, and then they didn't look that good ever again. And they had put together a really good game plan for 1 week. They went on the road. They had a good trick plays. They knew where the eyes of the defenders were. So I'm a little nervous for this game just because Wisconsin has struggled so much. Their coach is in a really desperate position. I don't think they're going to kind of try to control the ball, and you have a bunch of guys that are getting back into the fold that have came back from injury. Most likely, Zeke Berry is going to be rolling back. Jair Hill, Rod Moore, who was off for more than an extended period of time, and so I hope that Michigan is really aggressive, really tries to end this game early, because the longer Wisconsin hangs around, the more that they can believe and start playing better. This line moved from 16.5 to 17.5. I'm going to take Wisconsin to cover. I just think 17 is a lot of points. I think this offense is still too explosive without consistency. Third down has really been a problem. And when they played Power 4 teams, I believe they're 5 of 25 against Oklahoma, who is a really good defense, and Nebraska, who's a good defense. But it's just poor execution on those third downs. Limits Michigan's offense. It limits their time of possession, and that's a hard place to be. I think this is a game that's 27-7, and then a late field goal puts it in, or maybe another touchdown late. I think Michigan wins this game, but I don't think that they're going to be able to cover. I just think that this is too good of an opportunity for this Wisconsin team to come back after the bye week to be refreshed, because they've been dealing with a bunch of injuries.
Yeah, I got 2 things, KB. So the quarterback problems since Fickle's been there has been crazy. I just looked it up. So since his 3 years,
yep,
Alex Honeybrook Jack Cohen, Tanner Mordecai, and Taylor Van Dyke, and then now Billy Edwards. That's 5 quarterbacks have all got
Tanner Mordecai played 2 snaps because he was the transfer from SMU.
SMU. He threw a weird
and then
ball.
who's the guy last year? Van Dyke. He
Van
got
Dyke,
injured
Miami.
in the Alabama game.
And Jack Cohen was from Notre Dame. I'm not sure about Alex Honeybrook, but I know the other guys, Notre Dame, SMU, and the Miami, all got hurt within the first game or two. And they had significant injuries. It's insane. And then you add on Billy Edwards, who got hurt in the first game or first couple plays as well. And, just bad luck. And that's crazy. But you got at the same time, you got to get your own guy. You got to get
sophomore. Yeah, that's in the system. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then second one, I've been beating that horse, KB, but what receiver is going to step up here? Who's going to do it? Because you kind of said it a little bit ago, and I've been beating this horse because I still think it needs to happen. I kind of want to see him 3 guys step up in a game where you kind of don't you can push that way you play the game with Bryce. Obviously, he's a freshman too, so that can go either way. But we'd love to see maybe Samaj or McCulley or the other guy. I'm forgetting his name. Step up. You got any thoughts on that? Because I keep on
Goodwin.
Yeah, good one. Because I keep on bringing it up because I think it needs to happen.
No, 100%. And actually, Fred Moore, who had a really, really good bowl game against Alabama, he caught the touchdown pass. He had, I think, 4 receptions for 70 yards, which was a great receiving performance last year. We got to put in the context of what their season looked like. He actually has left the team. So I don't know if that's him getting passed up. I said this last year about Ron Bellamy. He's a good coach, but he doesn't get any production out of his guys. And McCulley, I expect him to do more. I want to see some downfield shots. He's 6'5", super athletic. Give him a couple jump balls. Give him some back shoulder fades and one-on-one because you're going to get one-on-one matchups against this Wisconsin defense. Outside of that, there's kind of 2 guys I would keep my head on, and this is who Sharon Moore mentioned. Andrew Marsh, who is a true freshman. He has 1 reception for 30 yards, but he said this is a freshman that really stepped up. He's one of their top-ranked recruits that came in this year. Elite high-end speed coming out of Texas. He just needed to add some weight, and it looks like he did that. He had a reverse for a really long touchdown, and then against CMU, and he also had a really nice catch. So maybe some more of his production. And then Jamar Browder is also a true freshman. He's 6'5". He's a big-bodied jump ball specialist. So I just think some of these young guys have to push the older guys. Because, I'm not even asking for elite wide receiver production, Quist. I just want guys to catch the ball. I'm not asking them to make Hall of Fame catches. I just want guys to catch 5-yard routes. I want them to catch screen passes. I've never seen so many screen passes that have hit people. Anything behind you on a screen, fine, I get it. But, from head forward, if it's out in front, you should be catching it. And I've just seen so many drops and so many guys catching the ball and it's in a good spot, but they stop all their momentum. And then again, just the drops on the field. I watched back the Nebraska game last night because that's just who I am. I've watched it 4 or 5 times now. And there were just 30, 40 yards. And it's usually on third down. It's the downs that matter. There's a slant to Samaj, and it was out in front, man, and it's perfect. And it's just there's 800 Division I football players that catch that ball, and we don't have 2 of them that can do that. We maybe have 1. And it's just perplexing. Obviously, the position wasn't used at all last year, but hopefully they make up for it on the jugs. But yeah, that's 2 of the guys. And then Hogan Hansen is the tight end that made a bunch of good plays in the CMU game. That's a tight end I really want to see back in the fold receiving because that's what Michigan does. And after a really good first game, Marlon Klein, who had 93 yards in the first game, hasn't been a factor in the offense. I know he's been battling through that ankle injury, so maybe they don't have him running a bunch of routes due to that. But I just would love to see some more rhythm from the passing offense, get some guys open, and just catch. I don't care if you have to catch the ball and fall down. Completions are fine at this point. So really, really disappointed. But yeah, Quist, that's a really good point.
If anybody says you don't know ball, KB, they don't know. You crush tape. You watch more football than I do, so get out of town. I think you would take our production at receiver. I'll just say that as a crazy thing. But yeah, I'm going to keep on beating that horse. I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. And until it happens, I'm going to keep bringing it up. But any more thoughts in this game? We both think Wisconsin's going to cover. Michigan probably wins. Any other thoughts before we jump to the next one?
The offensive line is going to be interesting because Giovanni El Hadi might return this week. He's been out. He's a certified starter. He played really well in the Oklahoma game. The issues weren't on him. But that right guard position is going to be up for battle. And they said there's about 4 guys that they've been rotating in that might have a chance for it. So I hope we see continual success. And then also pass protection in this game is going to be pretty important because they haven't really done a bunch of true dropbacks, especially in passing downs. A lot of it's been screens and stuff like that. And that just alarm bells sound off in my head is like because we haven't even faced that many good teams. So I'm just a little concerned about this. But overall, I'm excited for this game, excited to watch them back. We don't have a break for a little while here. So excited to play Wisconsin. Hope the boys are fired up. It's homecoming for Michigan. It's supposed to be a maze out. Hopefully the stadium's filled early. And it is loud. I mean, there's certain limitations at the big house just because of design with how it's built. It's not like, oh, no, our fans scream louder. Like, no, 80% of it's just design of the stadium and, produces louder noise. But anyway, I'm excited. Game number 2, though. Game number 2, this is a big one. The rematch. Vandy is traveling to Alabama. Bama is a 10.5-point favorite. It has stayed that way since I looked on Sunday. I'm a little concerned for this game. Alabama struggled in the run game against Georgia. They struggled in the run game against Florida State. The motions, the QB pull game, the RPO game, tackling in space was a huge issue for Alabama. And Vandy does that in spades.
Oh, yeah.
So, and Vandy's a good team. I'm a little nervous about that. Quist, what are your thoughts on this game? And I'll give my prediction on the back end. But, Alabama is obviously going to overlook them this time. It's at home. Bama's really, really good at home. Do you think Vandy has a chance in this game?
I do.
Do you think that they're... And then how good does Diego Pavia play? Does he have another instant classic where he just makes every single play?
I think he does. I don't know if you watched the SEC show on Netflix, but quick critique of the show. I like the show, but I know what's going to happen. So it's like, it's cool to see behind the scenes, but I know that Vandy beats Bama at home. Diego is a dog. He's probably 28 at this point, and he's a grown man, still playing college ball. I get that. They said he's going to play another year. He's not. But I think Diego he's the heart and soul of this team, along with the coach. I don't know his name right now, but he is a Vandy guy as well. And I think they are the embodiment of what Vandy wants to be. Kind of under the radar. They're gonna be tough. They're gonna be a bulldog. That's Diego to a T. And I think he's the true reason why they're gonna be in this game. He can run. He can throw. He can make crazy weird plays, and he's gonna make Bama earn it. On the flip side, I don't know a lot about Vandy's defense, but if Ty Simpson has time, like we said on the recap, KB, he can sling it. He looks like, obviously, if a guy has time, they look like a pro quarterback. And then he's got a great receiving core: Bernard, Williams, etc. Probably a couple other guys. Horton, he looked good last week. But the question for Bama is, can they run the ball? We talked about this against Georgia. They get Jam Miller out in the passing game. I think he's a good running back, so their O-line might be mediocre at run block. So I'm curious what this Vandy defense looks like. The difference for me is Diego and the coaching. But I know without Saban, KB, I just don't know how to feel about Bama because I think Saban is a whole different edge and attitude as a football coach. So I'm going to lean Vandy here, knowing Diego, liking that coach. They're still going to have that chip on the shoulder. They're being overlooked, probably a little bit, 10.5. But it's a little bit of a revenge game. So I think it's going to be a fun game. And then I think Vandy just gets that win. Close game towards the end. Diego has a hell of a game. But you never know. But I think Vandy has another one, and they will be 6-0 and bowl eligible. That'd be awesome. I think Vandy's a team a lot of us like to root for. It's an underdog a little bit, and the smart school in the SEC where academics do matter. And it'd just be cool to see a team like them, kind of take off after a big win against Bama.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent on this offense outside of Pavia. I mean, Eli Stowers is one of the best tight ends in the nation.
He is, yeah.
He was actually at New Mexico with Pavia before he transferred. So, I mean, this running game, they have two. Pavia is the leading carrier of the ball. So they're going to definitely do that RPO kind of triple option mess. And if I'm Vanderbilt, I'm just stealing a lot of what Florida State did to Alabama and being like, have you guys learned? Have you guys filled these gaps? Because if you rewatch the Georgia game against Alabama, there was a lot of holes. Damani Jackson wasn't filling up in time, and there's 2 or 3 runs that attacked him off the edge and bounced for big plays. And that's kind of something we've seen all year, and we saw last year in this game as well. With all that being said, I think that this is a more mature team from Alabama. I think that I really like this Vandy team, but they're not going to sneak up on anyone. 10.5 is a lot, but I think if this game gets even to close, they're going to try to embarrass Vanderbilt after what happened last year. I think they're really going to put it to them, and I think they're going to be more prepared. I think defensively, they looked or out of their gaps in the first game, and I just haven't seen that as much as well later in games. I've seen instances of it, but not as much. So I think we get Alabama here. I think we get a classic. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I don't know what the over-under is, but I mean, I would be definitely looking at it.
Or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think these teams are going to be able to put up 55.5. I think both these teams are going to be able to put up points on each other, and I think we're going to get into like a 45-20 win.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, we locked in. This is a 3:30 ABC game. Still think it should be CBS. Can't get over that, KB. But yeah, this is a fun one. And if you haven't watched that show on Netflix, I recommend. It's just kind of cool to look into the Vandy.
Even Saturday, right? SEC stories or something like that.
For me, I liked it just for the Vandy aspect because, like, you know what's going to happen, but it's cool to see how the coach was in that team. Very reminiscent of, like, the beginning of the Lions when they were just kind of figuring it out that year. But I love it, KB. We're going against each other in that one, so have fun. Good luck. Next game, KB. My Michigan State Spartans travel to Lincoln, Nebraska. 4 o'clock kick, FS1. The current spread is 11.5, opened at 10.5 in favor of Nebraska. I want you to take it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting matchup because you really have strength on weakness on both sides. MSU wants to run the ball, and Nebraska can't stop the run. Even though Childs is really good, but they want to be a running team. Even when they were trailing against USC, they still ran the ball like 10 more times than they threw the ball, which is wild. I think they need to trust him a bit more, especially with those receivers. You're going to see a lot of man coverage. You're going to see them stunting, which I know your O-line has really struggled picking up stunts and pressures this year. So that's maybe one thing that maybe keeps them out of a lot of passing situations is that they're going to put people in front and they're going to send people from different ways. But I think one of the opportunities here is your wide receivers are going to be able to beat their DBs. And I don't think they've played anyone that has the receivers at your level yet. So even though they're like holding teams to like less than 100 passing yards a game, Michigan just got over that. I mean, Michigan could have had 170 if they just caught the ball, like 180, and especially with the attempts. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. And then on the flip side, you guys can't get a pass rush or cover anyone, which is a really interesting dynamic.
It's a problem.
It's usually one or the other, and it's not even like, oh, the guy has 8 seconds to drop back. That's why he's throwing people open. It's like they're open in like one hitch anyway, but then he can like decide if he wants to throw it. So that's not a great place to be. Raiola's really good if you don't get pressure on him. I think he's going to be able to dice you guys up. So I think it's really going to come down to who can get maybe one turnover. I think that your defensive secondary has to play a little better. Like, I don't know if it's statistically possible for you guys to play worse. So I think there's going to be some growth from the bye week. And I think you guys are going to be able to really get into a flow where you guys can stop the pass once. So I think I'm going to take you to cover. I don't believe you're going to win this game, but I think 11.5 is a little bit too rich for my blood, especially with how good your offense can be at times. I know you haven't ran the ball well this year, but they have to respect your passing game more so than anyone all year, and they haven't been able to stop the run if they have heavy boxes. Like if they have light boxes. Like they haven't been able to do 2 safeties back and stop the run. They've had to add numbers in, and I think you guys can take advantage if they try to do that a whole lot. So I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Nebraska maybe wins a 1-score game. So I'm still predicting you guys to lose, but I don't think this is a blowout by any stretch of the means. I think some people are overestimating how good Nebraska's defense has been throughout the year, and I think this is a huge opportunity for MSU to come out and maybe compete for a win, but definitely compete better than they did against USC, where they were down like 3 scores in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a closer game throughout.
Fair enough. I'm looking back at my notebook from the beginning of the year when we went into a preview, and I had Western win, Boston College win, Youngstown win, USC loss. I'm 100%. So I'm going to go with my gut here. I got Nebraska W, so we're going to win the game. I think it's going to be high scoring. Over-under is 49.5, KB. I do think we can dice them up. I'm hoping Marsh is healthy. But I would love to see McCray getting, there more. I think we're pretty deep. Even Evan Boyd, a Central Michigan transfer, big body guy. We're deep there. And like I've said before, the tight end room, very good. Mizunis, Velling, and even Parachek. Would love to see getting them involved. It seems like Mizunis is the one tight end, but I can see Velling. He had a good game a couple games ago. The run game, KB, they love running the ball. They're a pro-style offense, and I get that, and I love that. But if we're dicing them up and we're locked in, throw the ball, right? But if we're running 4 or 5 a carry, no problem with Frazier, Tullis. I even like Todd Tolliver. We got 3 guys. Get Childs. I said it a lot at the beginning of the year. Like, get Childs out there, but make sure he gets down. I think him in the running game can be a catalyst for our offense being even that much better. He's been smart with the ball. Continue that. Will be great. Defense. Well, first O-line, got to be better at just overall. Pass protection's been okay, but that run blocking has been questionable. Need the run blocking if you don't have a running back like Kenneth Walker, because a guy like Nate Carter is on an NFL team, and they couldn't block for him either. So need to get better. You got a bye week. Hopefully our offense can scheme up like we did last year against Iowa, because we looked fucking electric. I still don't understand that game, like you said earlier. On the flip side, our defense, I don't know if we need a blitz, figure out how to do a pass rush like Hutch every now and again where you do a spin move, because our guys just can't get off a block. It's insane. Okay, and then obviously whatever zone we're playing, or if we're dropping back, that's not working either. We used to be no fly zone, KB, where we would play cover 4 press and nobody could fucking throw the ball on us, which was kind of how a lot of us State fans probably feel. Like, I'm used to having a really good defense because that's how our program was created within the last 10 years and how we kind of identify. So really curious to see Raiola against our defense. He likes to check it down a lot, so if we can tackling hasn't been that great, in my opinion, since the first week. Curious for the run game. Obviously, Barney, I think, is our top receiver. He's solid. This could be a high-scoring shootout, which I don't really like, but I do like our offense a lot. I think it's a really high-powered offense. If we get the ball rolling, we can run the ball a little bit, figure out that blocking. A lot of faith, and the defense gets a pick. Marion Smith, great story. We talked about him. He's been making plays. He's got a couple picks and a forced fumble. And special teams, I think, has been one of our shining stars as well, KB. So I'm going to lean on our offense, lean on our special teams. Hopefully the defense gets a stop, and I'm going to take the dub at Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm straight along my prediction lines for my team too. So I had predicted
we don't know ball,
Nebraska. So no, but the interesting thing here, especially for your team, is like, Raiola's really good at getting through zone reads. He's really good at recognizing coverages and getting the ball out of his hands. He's actually struggled against man coverage, which is a bit more a receiver issue, which they went out in the portal and grabbed 2 key guys. So I wonder what that looks like for your team. But I just think your guys need to be more aggressive in their zones. They're just letting guys run by them a little bit too much instead of getting in their way and affecting the timing. And that's just something you really can't do as much as MSU has. And then on top of it, USC was able to run wild on you guys as well. So is that something that is going to continue to happen, or is that maybe a one-off just because USC had you guys bamboozled all night? I don't know. I'm excited for this game. This is kind of a check mark on who's going to be in that middle tier of the Big Ten game. It's another important game. I feel like we're going to keep saying that for MSU. Is like, these are the games you have to compete and eventually win some of these to establish your Jonathan Smith era. This is how you build wins. And then it's still a really important win for Matt Rule. I mean, you look at the rest of the season. They have schedule. They have one team that's ranked left, which is Penn State. The rest of them aren't ranked, so this is a huge opportunity for them to, after coming off a bye week, to get a big win following a tough loss, that they were able to fight and continue to kind of stack wins throughout the season. So I'm excited about this game. I think MSU is going to have some fight. It's going to be a close game because Nebraska plays close games. That's just simply what they do.
I got one more question because we know they had 0 TFLs, tackles for loss against USC. Over under 2.5 tackles for loss for Michigan
I'm going to
State.
go over. I think you guys are going to be able to get some pressure. Michigan had like 8 sacks in this game.
Their
Probably
line's
could have
not
had
too
like
great.
Yeah, Michigan probably could have had like 12 if guys tackled the quarterback because they had a lot of free runners. One thing I am interested in both sides is like, are we going to call holding in the Big Ten this year? I feel like there's been a weird not calling holding, especially when DNs win around the edge. So that's just something I'm looking forward to in this game. Is like how are they calling it as well? You know, as Big Ten refs get told, hey, we're looking for this year. We're not looking for this as much, but. That'll be an interesting concept for this game. But yeah, I mean, we're both in the MSU bandwagon. You obviously have them straight money line win.
Yep.
Again, not betting advice, but I have them to cover this. I think minus 11.5. I'm going to take that. I think 10-point game is well within the bounds, if not a 1-score game for MSU.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, KB. Appreciate that. We'll call this game of the week. Bama Vandy could be game of the week, but I like this game a lot. This is a classic, KB. Miami 3, Miami goes 2. Florida State coming off a loss at night, 7:30 on ABC. Current spread is 4.5. Opened at 6.5 in favor of Miami. I can go quick. I would agree. I think Miami's the better team here. I do think Florida State has a lot of fight. I like Tommy Castellanos at quarterback. But I think that Virginia game, you can kind of see where you can get them. Run the ball a little bit. Quarterback did throw 3 interceptions. So it was interesting that Virginia made those mistakes, and they were still able to win in overtime. Florida State had a lot of fight. That receiver for Florida State, Dante Robinson, I think is his name, he's really good. Watched it for him to have a big game. And I haven't really watched Carson Beck a lot, KB, so I need to kind of lock in and watch this Miami team play because I know Tony, I think, is a true freshman for Miami. He looks really good. And I kind of want to see Miami come back to be what they used to be. I know it's different with NIL and the portal, like getting Carson Beck and all that. But, back in the 90s and early 2000s, I'll never forget the 2002 or 3 Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State when they were loaded. Miami's just that team. It's that program. I wish they were Nike. They're Adidas. I think that's just weird. But would love to see them bring it back to the prominence with Cristobal, who's, I think, a relatively good coach. They got the money. Going into Tallahassee, it'll be a tough task. I do like Norvell as well at Florida State, but give me Miami. I think they're just the better team. They got more talent. I think it'll be a dog fight, back and forth. Small spread, 4.5. It was at 6.5. And I'm actually going to do my best to watch this game because I haven't watched Miami play a lot. And obviously I watched the Virginia game for Florida State. Coming off a big, not a big loss, but a surprising loss. They had some fight. You never know in an away game, but just think Miami's got more. I think this is a fun night game. Do you know where game day is? Is it at this game?
It's at Alabama.
It's at Bama, okay.
It's got to be SEC. But if there's an SEC game being played, it's obviously there. No, yeah, I mean, you said a lot about Miami, and like their offense has struggled a bit at times this year, and we've recognized how poor Notre Dame's defense is. And Miami only scored 27 against them, and
True.
Notre Dame's been getting gouged by basically everyone they've played. So this is one of those stinker games where Florida State's coming off a short week, right? They played on a Friday night. They played against a really fiery team and just came up a little short where they made a bunch of errors, a bunch of incompletions. And Florida State, they really got to win this game to have an opportunity here in the ACC. It's at home. This is one of those games where I would have thought the line would have opened at maybe 10 or something in the double digits, and it creeped its way down to 7. When a line is 4.5, that gives me some what does Vegas know that I'm not really thinking about? What are they seeing? And no one's really moved this line, so I'm going to take FSU in this game. I think that one of the biggest strengths of Miami's defense are their edges. And I think that when you run the ball in such creative ways, and in the ways that Florida State does, it can neutralize them at times. It can make them run out of gaps, run out of positions, because you can't really just block. I believe it's Ruben Bain. You can't block him one-on-one. He's going to destroy whatever your tackle is. He's going to make a mockery of your tackle position. So I think that they're going to find cool, interesting ways to attack it. And I think it really just comes to fruition in how does this team look? How do they come back and fight? And it's a home game. That's a really intense environment. And Carson Beck, who has looked really good, at times has struggled to keep this offense on the field. Like I said, 27 points against Notre Dame. They had 26 points against Florida, and I mean Florida's defense is pretty good, but Florida had like 40 yards of offense for an entire half. And Miami didn't really turn that into a bunch of points. Used 17 of 30 for 160 and a pick in that game. They were able to run the ball decent, but still, I think that there's some opportunities for this Florida State team with this Tony White, I believe he's the former DC for Nebraska. They run a really aggressive, fast-paced defense, and it'll be, can they hold up on the outside against this really, really good receiving core for Miami? And I think they'll be able to do it. I'm not predicting a win, but I think it's going to be much closer than you would conventionally believe with how Miami started this season. Now, with all that being said, Miami finishes the season with Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt. They don't play a ranked game the rest of the year. Louisville might be ranked if they win this week, heading into their game together the following week. But there's some huge opportunities here if they win this game to be in the driver's seat of the ACC championship and a playoff bid. So this is a huge, huge game for them. And I think that they can pull it out, but I think it's just going to be closer. I think it's going to be a late field goal or touchdown makes it a one-score game. It just has that little stinky feeling for me.
For sure. I really don't have anything else, KB. I was going to think at other games that might be sneaky on the slate, but I didn't really look that hard. But I don't have anything else, unless you want to bring up anything else, so I'm good.
Yeah, just a couple. Cincinnati has looked really good since they played. Since they played Nebraska. Brendan Sorsby has been throwing over everyone. Iowa State's coming to town. They're 5-0. So Cincinnati's hosting them. That'll be a little interesting game because Iowa State has aspirations for the Big 12. A fun shithole game is Clemson versus North Carolina. I think everyone was pretty hyped in the preseason about this game. And it's going to be two teams that are going to be fighting for bowl eligibility, it feels like. There's one more game. Texas, Florida. Arch is going to have to go on the road into the swamp. He's looked really poor. Texas is still the number 9 team in the country. The spread is 4.5. Arch has not looked the same way he has, and Florida's defense has been terrific. As much as their offense has been putrid, stinky, smelly, maybe the worst offense we've seen, they did have a bye week this last week. Hopefully Lagway can get healthy, a little bit more practice time, and get them prepared. So that's maybe one game where I'm like, ooh, that spread is a little dicey, and Arch hasn't proven himself to me yet, and this is a good defense. Big Ten implications, just really quick. Sorry, Quist. I know the slate, but anyone that wants to watch Washington versus Maryland. Maryland's still undefeated. They're hosting Washington.
Talk about a travel game.
All the way across the country, yeah.
Maryland's decent.
Furthest travel distances, yeah. So this is huge implications for Maryland because they're going to get to 5-0 early in this season. In Washington because they're still holding on because they have a decently manageable schedule down the stretch. Sorry, 1 second.
Maryland
here.
usually falls apart later in the year too, so we'll see how that goes.
There's one more. Sorry.
Is it a Big Ten game?
No, it's Texas Tech versus Houston. Houston had a huge comeback win last week. I believe they were playing. I believe it was Arizona. Let me double check. No, Oregon State. They almost blew. They went to overtime with Oregon State. Oregon State played their best game of the year. Texas Tech coming off that Utah win. How does Houston look? Both teams are 4-0. Again, another huge set of implications in the Big 12. That line's 11.5. So just really, really interesting. I know this doesn't have the marquee matchups, the big time names, but this is still going to be a really, really fun weekend if you're going to be out there for the games that matter. So I'm still excited. I'm looking forward to this game, these games in this weekend 100%. Keep your eyes open, and of course I'll end it on this. Anything you want us to cover? We both have bye weeks. I'll be up in Michigan, so maybe we'll do a podcast together that bye week.
Whoa!
for Michigan. I believe MSU's on a bye week that weekend as well. But
Yeah.
appreciate everyone for listening. Really thankful for everyone, all things included. But keep listening, keep sharing, telling your friends, neighbors, cousins, aunts, uncles, uncles. I don't care what the dynamic is there. Do whatever you want. But please let us know if you want us to cover anything specific, especially in the off season. I know we were light this year in the off season, but we didn't really have much to talk about. I think we both kind of got busy with life. With all that being said, go Blue.
Thanks, KB. Yeah, this is actually a great set of games, so thanks for hitting those on the head. We'll be locked in, and we'll be crushing tape. Hopefully my lovely Spartans get a win, but we'll roll with the punches. Homecoming next week for us with UCLA coming to town. Thank you guys, as always. Get out there, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Tell everybody. We appreciate you guys. You know who you are. And last but not least, KB, go green.